You're busy, you've got a decent practice, but nobody wants to be decent. You want to be great, and you want to have a great practice. So how did the most productive, profitable dentist in the nation balance real life, work, and profits, and somehow make it all seem fun? Well, it comes down to simple, everyday practices. So grab a lunch, join us as we chat with top clinicians and influencers to discover their formula for uncommon success. Are you ready? Then it's time to explore everyday practices with Vicki McManus-Peterson and Dr. Chad Johnson.
Hello, and we're back again with Everyday Practices. Chad, I'm super excited. We have Christine Uhen with us in the house today.
Welcome, Christine.
Hey, guys.
Hi. Thanks for coming on Everyday Practices.
Oh, good to be here. Love the podcast. Listen to them all.
She's our one and only top fan.
Yes, listening to every episode. She told us, listeners,
every episode,
you need to beat Christine. She gets the 3 gold stars.
She gets 3 gold stars. So if you're listening to this and you have also listened to every episode, just make a comment on our landing page. We want to know. We're searching you out nationwide.
We just might also send you 3 gold stars.
And a box of chocolates with a pig on
Pig-shaped or something. Yeah.
Embossed.
Well, I'll be looking for that in my mailbox.
You betcha. You betcha. It's dark chocolate. Good stuff. So many of you may know Christine Uhen. This name may be familiar if you're a fan of Productive Dentist Academy and then you've been following me and Bruce for all these years. Christine joined our coaching team. In fact, she was the very first coach that I hired back in 2007. Yeah. So Christine has had a long journey with us. And what I love about Christine's coaching skills is the depth of it. So not only has she got a graduate degree in dental hygiene, she's a featured speaker at the ICOI. She knows implant dentistry inside and out. Back in the day when CIREC was getting started, she literally wrote the training manual for how to implement CIREC into your practice. So it's right up there with the Dead Sea Scrolls and the 10 Commandments. Reading. She's the author of that. And Christine, you have really ridden the waves of the economy. You know, 2007, man, it was a heyday. People just used their home equity lines of credit, got big cases done. That's back in the day when everybody was popping veneers left and right. And then it all changed in 2008, 2009. And then we've been in a reconstruction and now in a boom again. So from where you sit, I'm going to just throw you a curveball here right off the bat. What do you think is the key elements for doctors to successfully ride any economic wave? What are some of the traits that they have in common?
I think mostly, well, not mostly, but significantly, that they have good advisors, that they know who to trust and who to go to with financial questions. And whether that's a business coach and financial planning and a willingness to ride out those waves, because there's always going to be another one, both up and down. So long-term strategies with financial success for themselves as a business and personally, I think they need to have good advisors, trusted advisors. And, you know, within the practice, I think what they need to stay focused on really is the humanity of our business. And, you know, people don't leave you when they like you. And as long as you're maintaining a client base as well as attracting new people, you will ride that wave out. You'll be there when the patients are ready to move forward with whatever treatment you're recommending. So some of it's strategic in terms of the financial planning and good business acumen and successful financial planning, but it's also about relationships and staying connected and in relationship with your patients and compassion with your patients and not feeling bad when they can't afford to do dentistry and not going, well, fine, I don't want you as a patient anymore, even in their own head. It's not about finding the right patient. It's about keeping every patient and staying in relationship with them, having the systems in the office that they keep coming back. So you're ready. You're still their dentist when they're ready.
I like that.
Christine, I have a question. As you come into an office and you kick butt, I know that. So tell me, what's the low-hanging fruit that's common, or is it unique to each practice?
Well, my favorite low-hanging fruit is what I would call the outstanding treatment, the work that has been discussed in the past and not been done. I think that's one of my favorite reports to run is the outstanding treatment, like let's say for the last year when I first come into an office. And for them to realize, I mean, I've seen it as high as $3 million, that work that they have talked about and patients, were told that they need to have this work done, but for whatever reason, the patients haven't moved forward. Mm-hmm. So these are people that the clients already have a relationship with. We're not taking 4 times as much effort to bring in and get a new client. They're already clients. So it's changing the approach of re-presenting that treatment. So I find that to be the most fun, low-hanging fruit in pretty much every office.
Can I emphasize that just a little bit? Because I know as coaches, we go into offices and we say, your patients are waiting for that call. Your patients are waiting for that call. And the doctors and the teens are like, no, they don't. They hate the dentist. If they wanted to schedule, they would have scheduled. But my own parents ended up in Bruce's office in Texas because I referred them to 5 different dental practices in their hometown. And they would go, and it really was it was a receptionist challenge. It wasn't a doctor challenge so much, but they would go to schedule and they would go, well, our computers are down. I'll call you. Or my book doesn't go out that far. I can't schedule you. And they would call and call, and there was such apathy in it. Chad, that between the 2 parents, I think there was a $55,000 treatment plan for the 2 of them. Yeah. And so we ended up using airline miles, flying them to Granbury, Texas. My dad got the work done, and he's as gregarious as I am. So he takes back the business cards, walks around the square. And when people say, you don't sound like you're from around here, he's like, oh, no. I just went and saw Bruce Baird. Do you know him? Do you know that he lectures all over the world and my daughter works with him and I'm from Georgia? You live here and you don't see him? Like, he must have drummed up 15 new patients for them. And I'm telling you, the patients want you to call. They want you to reach out. My parents were desperate for care and couldn't find it. And
Isn't that something?
They gave 5 offices a shot.
Yeah, and I think too, reiterating the relationship, they want to feel cared for. And so when you present dentistry, whether it's on the phone or getting them back in the office for hygiene and recare, it's that empathy, it's the compassion. And I think that's something that I truly believe is one of the keystones of PDA, our relationship-based. Everything we do is relationship-based. Everything we do is about how the patient benefits from our care.
That's a neat system to implement because, when I think about it's another Iowa thing with me being from, here in Iowa, but if you build it, they will come, from the Field of Dreams. And that was a great movie. But, when we talk about, building this big dream, we build this big dream office, or we have a dream to take care of lots of patients and have a good life and have a great team and everything like that. But sometimes it's kind of a boring thing like a system. But if you build that system to where you're calling the patients or you're tending to them and you're being a good, in a good relationship with them, that they will come. And the treatment.
Well, there's a wrong way. Right. There's a wrong way to do that system to put a list of names in front of people.
What's the wrong way?
If I can go that way. The wrong way is to have it be a job for somebody, to have it be a task. Here's your list of names to call. And if I'm given a task, I'm going to feel real good when I check off the list that I made the call. And that's the wrong intent. To complete the task of making the call. The right intent takes a heck of a lot longer than just dialing for dollars. It's about doing the research. Who has the relationship with the patient? Who is there for the story? Who has, who can read the chart notes and understand why, number one, the work needs to be done, why the patient said no in the first place, and what is the benefit to the patient. You've got to get into that, the results-oriented conversation of why this is good for them to do, not us. Why is it good for them to pursue this treatment?
So you may have an administrator who's in charge of the system, and she can review the charts, and she may say, hey, Vicki, there's 3 patients that I know you're in deep relationship with. Would you be willing to reach out today and connect with them?
Yeah, exactly. And setting up the system, that's right. This is setting up the system in the office comes down to, as an office, here's the list of names of people that we need to call. Break it down to, chunk it down to 3 or 4 calls a day. Who's going to make these calls today based on who on the team has the best relationship? It's not always the receptionist. Sometimes it's the hygienist. Sometimes it's the assistant. Who has the best relationship with them? And go back to why they said no. If it's financial, then maybe it is an administrator that's the one to answer that question or to call them and talk about the financial options. It might be that they don't know the results. They don't know the benefits. That's a clinician that's probably best to handle that question. So decide as an office who should make these calls so that they're the most. So we have the best results in terms of having success with the calls in terms of scheduling. But again, it's all back to the relationship. Who's best in relationship with that patient?
Chad, do you mind if we stick with this for a second? I want to ask her a deeper question.
Of course not. What I like is that you two know each other so well that I almost needed to just step out and be a good listener during this episode.
No, because you're the doctor. I want you to. That's what.
Chad, you got to be taking notes. Yeah,
I am taking notes.
So, Christy, one of the reasons that I found that we don't implement a treatment reactivation or hygiene reactivation protocol is because our schedule is, quote, busy, right? And so if I'm busy today, I don't have time to make those calls. And I quite honestly, I don't need to because my schedule's filled. But you're a productivity coach. You know that a full schedule doesn't necessarily mean that it's productive. So what advice do you give teams that they're now committed to making these calls? Maybe they're a little tentative. And let's say that there's a patient that needs a 3-unit bridge, and I connect really well. And they tell me, wow, I've been waiting for you to call, and I've got a reunion that I'm going out of state for in about 3 or 4 weeks. How soon can I get in? And I look at my schedule, and it looks full, but it's not scheduled to goal, right? So what do you tell the team to do when they have those scheduling conflicts? How do they create priority for their patients?
Well, again, it goes back to, is our scheduling system set up right? And so if it's set up correctly, there's going to be, availability to add things in, right? So if I've got a day full of fillings, if you will, then I have to backtrack and say, we probably don't have our scheduling template in place and we're not honoring our template. So that's a whole other system.
So like rocks, paper, sand, or like X number of crowns a day, perfect day scheduling. What are you talking about here with schedule?
Well, perfect day scheduling, with the slashes and the X's is such a great concept. And we all know that the minute a patient doesn't come on time, the minute a patient doesn't get numb like we want them to, or the minute, an MO turns into an MOD, all of a sudden I'm off track for the whole day. So I conceptually love it. And in actuality, that's been very difficult to maintain. What I mean by our ideal scheduling is that we've created blocks. If you want to call it rock, pebble, sand, we would call it high or moderate production. That I have strategic blocks in my schedule for productivity that meets or exceeds my goal. And I have blocks that have productivity that don't meet my goal, maybe fillings, extractions, that kind of thing. And I also have blocks for new patients and non-productive appointments. So if I'm following my template, which is designed that it will meet my goal every day,
nice.
And I don't compromise on that, an office has to set some rules, if you will, or guidelines that I will hold these high production blocks until maybe 2 days ahead of time. So when I do have successful outbound treatment follow-up calls, I've got somewhere to put them.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, you guys want to know something transparent?
Tell me.
Whenever someone would say, you would talk about block scheduling or say, you block schedule, right? I thought I knew what that meant. But so what's interesting is when people talk about block scheduling, because I was there at one point, I thought I knew what that meant. You just, you've got a block and okay, you honor it and you've got this big block or something like that. But I didn't understand too, the way that Productive Dentist Academy does it with figuring out what the dollar amount is and then scheduling that according to the time, but then also having, times blocked off. But it's a lot more of a discussion than just saying, hey, you understand what a block is, right? And it's like, well, I'm not a blockhead. Of course I get what a block is. So But so what's interesting is that it's almost like a follow-up question where if you said you get block scheduling, right? Are you block scheduling in your office? And if someone says,
like asking a patient if they floss. And
yeah,
like, yeah, today.
Or the old Fresca commercials.
Twice
it's
a
like,
year.
hey, do you drink Fresca? And the guy goes, yeah, I mean, I drink Fresca. And he's like trying to play along. But so the great follow-up question would be, it's like, well, how do you implement block scheduling? And I think a lot of people would answer, well, you have got like a couple hours there. And then if it's something big, then you put it in there. And it's just like, no, I mean, that it's along the right line. But do you get what I'm saying? Like, I think if we were actually transparent, we think that we get what it is, but I didn't get how Productive Dentist Academy puts a different spin on it. And as you said, with Perfect Day stuff, that there's other people that put a different spin on it. And that spin matters on it. It's not just an idea that is yes or no. We think we get what block means, and then sometimes someone has a different idea. Productive Dentist Academy for me was a great idea, but it's not just a block is a block is a block.
Right. So Christine, try to answer it since we're on radio here. Boy, I'm old school. We don't have our flip charts and PowerPoints. Let's give an example. Let's say that I'm currently producing $400 an hour, which the average dentist is. The average owner dentist, the average associate produces about $275. So that's what, 8, 16, 20, $3,200 a day, right? And I want to go to $500 an hour, which is about $4,000 a day. I want to increase that. So I want to do $500 an hour, and my crown fee is $1,000. How much time would I be blocked for to do that procedure?
Well, first of all, thank you for the simple math.
Hey, I went to hygiene school. That's all we do is simple math.
What? And truly, so if I'm going to design a template at $500 an hour, I have to remember there are certain procedures that meet or exceed that. And that's what I would call a high block. So if I have $1,000 procedure and my goal is 500, I create a block for 2 hours. Okay. Does that make sense?
Chad, can you do a crown in 2 hours?
A CEREC crown, absolutely.
Does it sound like
start
it's
to finish with that?
No, certainly not. I mean, but CEREC can slow you down in one chair, but then the goal is that you are also hopping to other chairs. So it does require the assumption that you can work laterally through other operatories with CEREC in specific. So when I do that, it requires, if I only had 3 operatories in my office and 2 was hygiene and 1 was operative, you're going to have a tougher time achieving that. But if someone has 10 operatories and a CEREC machine, they're going to be able to accomplish more because they can park someone, go work in the next room, stuff like that. Right. But 2 hours actually is how long I take for a crown. And I don't feel bad about it because I'm not sitting there looking at them for 2 hours. I work 10 minutes and then let's say 15 minutes at the end.
Your assistant is.
Yeah. So it's might be 25 minutes of doc time, but yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Love it. Sorry,
but the good thing is but the good thing is you've met your goal. So even if you did nothing and I had a second chair, for those 2 hours, you've met your goal. We'll do that all day, every day, and you're going to.
Yes.
Right. So, so that would be a high production block, something that is worth the hourly goal I'm setting. That's how we define high production. It either meets or exceeds our hourly goal.
So if I had that as a crown and a core build-up and it was 1,200, I wouldn't need to extend that 2 hours. I just know that I exceeded my goal with that addition.
Right.
Okay.
Now, but then take that to a $1,500 procedure. You could book that for 3 hours because I'm still at my hourly goal.
And the point of contention,
whether it takes me that long or not.
The point of contention that I think a lot of doctors have is they go, yeah, but I could do more. And what it also does is a block works two ways, if not more. But the second way that it works is it purposefully forces you to, if you get done in 45 minutes, but you blocked off 2 hours, if you're only working at that $400 an hour and you're trying to make the $500 an hour, instead of just saying, well, I'm going to try and, all of a sudden raise it up to $800 immediately. No, your goal was to just raise it by $100. And to make that $500, now you need to go into the exam rooms and build relationships with people so that way they're saying yes to treatment. So it forces the doc to go spend time in the operatories that we think we want to be drilling. And it's like, well, if you want to be drilling, you've got to treatment plan that. In order to treatment plan that, you need to build relationships.
Yeah.
Woo!
And
Preach it, Chad.
Okay.
I couldn't have said it any better. Yeah. Woo! Preach, brother.
Well, and it also gives you
and that's the whole point is doing the goal every day, right? That's the other thing too, is you want to meet your goal every day. And that's exactly what you said, Chad.
And after you achieve that, you achieve that for a while, then you start saying, I think I could even do more. Well, big boy, go after it. You know, if you want to shoot for 600, then do. But you don't go from 400 to 800.
So where did you go from, Chad? I'm just interested.
Sure. When I first started with PDA, I was at 440.
Okay.
And with
so
it,
you were above average.
Yeah, I was above average. And you know what's funny was when I looked at it, I also looked at my free time, and I was free 1/3 of the time.
Wow.
And so in essence, I was probably doing 660 of production, but then I was only busy 2/3 of the time, so I was doing 440. Carrie had me jumped up to 700 within three to 6 months, and I think within a year I was at 1,000 an hour.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but we just incrementally kept building it up.
Yeah, it's good to see the journey.
And the schedule supported that, right? The schedule helped you do that. The design of the template, you know, doesn't change a lot as you increment, because you still have to have the blocks for the high production. You still have to allow time for, again, what I would call a moderate block, the fillings, the single tooth extraction, you know, the smaller dentistry that some people just need. Not everybody needs a crown.
Right.
Nor, you know, do I say you need to just do one more crown a day? That's not the point. The point is that with the template and with the design, you get consistent with your day. You get consistent with your productivity, which I think I can physically just see dentists going, that they actually, well, and I think some of the reason doctors feel they have to add more and add more every day is a sense of scarcity. It's a fear-driven motive when they feel they have to keep adding on, because there might be the day that I just don't have.
Get it while the getting's good.
Right. And I'm 100% supportive of someone's in trouble. And again, with these, if a patient's in pain and with these longer appointment times that probably don't need all the doctor time, Vicki, I think we cut you off, being able to add in dentistry on the same day. When patients do have emergencies, maybe I actually could do some treatment on those patients rather than just get them up in pain and get them back. I have now got choice. I could even go in to do a hygiene exam. I could see that one patient who just needs that one filling. I could probably just move them over into my chair today. Save the patient a second visit. Save your team the challenge of scheduling the one filling.
Right.
Because, you know, where do you find that to add to your productive day? Serving the patients at the highest level of taking care of them immediately. And that is what you get with a template and a design of your day, that there is some freedom for flexibility and add-on, and the emotional security that I'm already at my goal. I think that is one of the biggest gifts we can give to our clients, and for them to trust us with changing their day, trust us, you know, this is really going to turn out to be advantageous to you long-term, and repeatedly over and over. And that, I think, is one of the gifts that our coaching can help clients, is that peace of mind, not being in a scarcity mode, not being in fear. And that's a gift.
You're a gift. I think this has been some of the richest 20 minutes that we've had on our show. This is like, whoa, like so targeted and so wonderful. And, you know, the words that you were using that I just love, and it's because of who you are, is I heard it's relationship-based, like your success is relationship-based, and it's system-based, and it is not about checking boxes. You know, I've physically put somebody in the slot, ergo I'm done. It's like being conscious and intentional about designing your day, about designing your practice, and making it really predictable. I know there's like 15 other topics we could go into, because you're fabulous at marketing, you're fabulous at team building, you're fabulous at others. So would you be willing to come back and share with us again some other time?
Oh, anytime. For you two, anytime.
And Christine, just for the listeners, if they had follow-up that they wanted to like get in touch with you privately to ask, you know, where they would go from there, what's your email?
Like the whole PDA family, it's my first name, Christine, CHRISTINE @productivedentist.com.
Excellent. everyone, thanks for joining us on the podcast today. But before we leave, as you know, and as Christine knows, we have one question that I hope she's been preparing for. Are you ready?
I've been waiting to answer this question as I've listened to all of these, and I'm surprised by who says some things.
I know.
So it's funny.
All right, here it goes. Coke or Pepsi? No, just kidding.
Neither one now.
Here we go. Bacon or eggs?
Bacon.
Bacon!
Bacon.
It's all about the magic pig. Now, for those of you that are PDA alumni, you know what that means. The one hotel we used to be at that had free bacon like all morning long. We called it the magic pig. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Well, Christine, again, thanks for joining us, and everyone listening, thanks for joining us as well.
My pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Bring your lunch or take us to the gym again next week to improve your everyday practices. Also, subscribe on iTunes, follow us on social media, and sign up for our email list. Now get out there and win with everyday practices.